Hey guys, it's JP Fluellen with another episode of Getting Real in the Field with Kekte and JP Fluellen, where we talk about follow up, lead generation, and all the things that you guys hate to do. And so, welcome back to another episode. What's up, Kek?
Hey man, I'm doing well, busy as heck, but excited to kind of do another podcast with you.
It's
On a Saturday evening.
Oh man, nothing gets me more excited than to do a podcast on the weekends when it's dark out in the winter.
Anyways, so we're just continuing from last week's talk, right, about lead gen. So we wanted to use today as this episode to kind of talk a little bit about lead gen and kind of continue on like what can you do with little to no cost at all. So with that, with our resident real estate agent and coach, JP Fluellen.
Hey man, thank you. So, it's so funny. Most people, this is the part that everybody hates, right? It's all the grassroots parts of real estate and getting uncomfortable, and a lot of the growth happens from the time that you are comfortable to uncomfortable. That distance that you have to cross right there is really the chasm for success. And that can be through free stuff or through paid, because it's really scary to invest in yourself and do things to try to grow your business. And as I mentioned in our previous episode, I did door knocking for over a year. In a previous life, I'd sold meat in boxes, frozen, door to door, man. It was crazy. I was like, hey, man, this is JP. I'm the Choice Meats guy. Hey, just want to let you guys know that we've got everything is on sale today. We've got T-bone steaks down to $2. They're like, what is going on? And they're just like, like they're just getting hammered with all this spiel. But what's crazy is, the mind has a tough time processing when you just go, 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 go. And before it sinks in, the next thing I know, I'm in their living room and I'm pitching all this frozen meat in their living room, right? So you can apply some of the same principles to door knocking. You just got to get people excited because they weren't excited when you showed up at their door. They were drinking coffee and eating Cheerios before you showed up, And so you got to be able to like get them excited about what it is you're doing there and why you're there. And that's how you're going to help cultivate these free leads, because everybody that owns a home theoretically is going to be home at some point. And so you just got to be able to get there when they're there.
So let's talk. Let me ask you a couple of key things, right?
Sure.
So we're going to cover it more in detail today on a couple of these techniques on lead generation. So you talk about door knocking. Where do you start? Like, your neighborhood? Where what do you recommend, and how many?
I would recommend, the 5 houses to your left, then the 5 houses to the right, and the 5 houses across. And that is something that a lot of agents forget. It was called 5x5. It was a technique that was used when you had an open house and you would bring some flyers with you and you would door knock the 5 houses to the left and to the right and the 5 across the street from that open house to get people in the neighborhood to come to your open houses, because they're going to come in, they're going to ask questions. They're going to say, hey, how much is this one for sale? And they're going to think, oh, well, I live in this neighborhood. My house must be worth at least that. Right. And so you can get, and that's how like you can dominate your neighborhood. Because the most annoying thing in real estate is when you're in your neighborhood and your neighbor lists their house with a competitor. It is like a dagger. Like, what am I, chopped liver? Did I kill your cat? Did I run over your dog? Like, what just happened here? And it's so frustrating. And what's even more frustrating is you may not even know that you've got like 7 realtors that live right next to you in your neighborhood, and you wouldn't even know that until you started door knocking. And so it's a very effective, low cost. It's literally free. How you can expand your sphere of influence just by getting to know your neighbors. And it's crazy how like people live next to each other for 6, 7, 8 years and they still don't even know their neighbor's name. And they live there longer than you, and it's sad that they haven't come to your house, and asked what your name is, and this is the society that we've come to. And if you can just break out of that norm and try to break through the social media and the technology piece, you're going to get business. If, the real estate is the craziest thing. It's, the amount of effort that you put in is equal or greater to what you get out if you just do the work,
Yep. I
and
totally agree.
it's huge rewards on the amount of, compensation you're going to get just by getting involved in just doing, like Nike nailed it when they put out just do it.
Yep. Yep. I like the idea that actually, so for sure, like the neighbors, right? Getting to know your neighbors is one thing. I like the idea about inviting, if you're hosting an open house, inviting the neighborhood around the open house as well too, because it will get them to come over, one, and you get to know them, and you just expanded your network as well too, right? You've got those neighbors who are the nosy neighbors for the open house that you're doing, but it gets conversations going and gets intrigue. And says, if you're afraid of like doing cold door knocking, well, here's the reason. Hey, I want to, invite you to come over to the open house. Just check out your neighbor's, open house that you're selling a house. If you're interested, drop by. We'll have some refreshments or anything like that. Come and check it out. Right?
And that's the one thing too that agents have gotten away from, is just a lot of these old school tactics that work. It's like, okay, well, what is going to attract, is it fresh baked cookies, or is it, like pumpkin pie cooking in the oven? Like, what is it that's going to get, people to like really like think about this house when they're coming through an open house? And then it engages conversation, and it may not even be specifically about buying or selling, but it's about building those relationships, and building relationships is the key to the whole thing. And we just forget about that. We're just like, who can I pay? Like, there's got to be somebody out there that I can pay so that I can get paid. And it's like, you forget, like, dude, like, just do the easy stuff. Do an open house. I have had agents that refuse to do 4 open houses a weekend. And I'm like, I don't even care if it's the same house. Like, do 4 open houses a weekend and you will generate business. I mean, obviously it's an old school tactic. It is very time consuming. It does take time away from your family, but this is real estate. You're a real estate agent. Like, you signed up for time away from your family when you became a real estate agent, right? So until you get to a point where you have a reoccurring generating stream, which you just, as you get boots on the ground, you develop your own systems that work for you in your situation. And then you're going to create, boundaries around certain things. And then you have to earn that though. And I've told agents before, like, you can't just go into this saying, okay, I will not work on the weekends, and I will not work after 5, and I will not work on Tuesdays every other month, and I'm not going to work, when my kids have days off. And I'm like, okay, well, then it looks like you're not going to work then. So I would probably choose a different career. Like, I'm just saying, like, and so I think we just have to have the right mindset and the drive around success, and have good, clear vision and goals, so that you're not, feeling like you just, divorced your family,
No, I'll touch on that part actually. So I'm a real estate kid, right? A real estate agent's kid. My mom used to be a real estate agent herself too, and so I remember many times, hey, we're gonna go out for dinner or something like that. She gets the phone call and drop everything. Sorry, let's put everything on hold. Or hey, do you mind stop if it's okay if we can stop by my client's house and do something quickly, kind of thing. And that 10-15 minutes becomes an hour long. And it's like, it takes sacrifice. I would definitely agree with that. Right.
It was such a huge point of contention when I first got my real estate license. My wife was always like, we want you home at 5 so you can be home for, dinners, and, and I'm like, I'm showing houses. Like, I got to go out and show houses.
Yeah.
And, when I first had this like epiphany where I was like, I think I'm a real estate agent now. I feel like I've arrived, and then I realized, like, it's disruptive to the
It
flow
is.
of life.
That's a really good point, actually. I don't know how we got there, but I think that is balancing your life in part, but it requires sacrifice.
It does. And we'll definitely do a full episode on work-life
Yeah, we
balance.
should. We definitely should. That's a good
There's
one.
there's definitely some things to think about there.
So door knocking. Okay, so let's kind of continue on this path. Door knocking, the 5x5. I love the idea. Doing it at open houses as well too. The door knocking around, not only just your neighborhood, but when you're doing it open houses, love it. What else?
Another one is just a real obvious one is a lot of people go to church on Sundays, and by volunteering, there's a huge database right there,
Yeah,
and you really get to know your church and your community through your church, because there's a lot of people that are influencers in your community, and by just in volunteering and going to things that they're going to is going to exponentially get you more reach. And now all that is free, and you just have to master the real estate conversation, which is something like, everybody's heard of the Ford method, or there's 17 different versions of that. But
okay, I've heard of it, but explain it for the rest of the
yeah, so Ford is friends, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
right.
So, but for me, it's friends, occupation, real estate, and dreams, right? So what you're gonna do is you're going to turn every conversation into a real estate conversation. So, you're like, hey, how's it going? Who do oh, going great. Yeah, awesome. Are you guys from around here? Awesome. That's great. What do you guys do for fun? Oh, we go up to, Kurt Gowdy or whatever. We go to the lake, and we go down to Sloan's Lake. I think there's a Sloan's Lake in every state, right? So, and everybody, oh, that's awesome. Do you guys rent or do you guys own? And then it's so funny how they'll just like throw up all over you as soon as you hit that. Do you guys rent or do you guys own? And then they're like, oh, yeah, we've been renting for the last 15 years and we hate it.
Great tip. I love it.
Yeah. And then you just go right from there to, have you guys thought about buying? And then they're like, no. I said, well, it just so happens I'm a real estate agent, and then wouldn't that be awesome if you guys could just have a nice home for yourselves? And then you're kind of like going into that dreams part, right? So you're going into the dreams and thinking about like, what if you guys just had like a house on the beach? Like, wouldn't that be sweet, or whatever, and then eventually you're just having this conversation, and next thing you know, you find out whether they're a lead or not,
Yeah.
and I always tell people, like, real estate is not a career. Like, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Like, it's just ingrained into the thing that you do every single day. Whereas, like, if you work at Subway, like, you're not gonna just have a conversation and be like, man, are you guys hungry? It'd really be great if we could go get some Subway. That would just really be amazing. I really want, like, a chicken bacon ranch, like, foot long. It just sounds amazing right now. We should all just go there, right? I don't know. Like, do you guys feel like we should go get some subs or what? Or do you guys feel like Mexican food? Like, if you worked at a Mexican restaurant, the last thing you want to do is be like, I could really go for some chips and salsa right now. Like, that is not gonna happen, So, like, I think that's the great thing about real estate, is it's such a natural conversation to have.
Yeah. No, I love the idea about Ford. That's a great tip. For people like me who are just like, an introvert, right? Like, I need some like the tips and acronyms that, oh yeah, what should I talk to them about? What do I, yeah, it's like, ugh, kind of thing, right? And so I love the acronym about Ford, and you've taken a little spin out of it. So friends, occupation, real estate.
Yep. And dreams. Yeah.
Love that, right? And I think that's a great conversation starter. I am also reminded of, when you volunteer yourself and help out within the community, there's a whole concept of the go-giver gets more. I don't know. Have you ever heard of that?
There's a book called The Giver's Gain.
Something like that. I got to look it up. You look it up. So the whole idea about the go-giver is that you're helping people. And if you help them, and you're just getting yourself involved, helping them with their finding what your dreams are. If you're interested in them, people get interested in you, and then they will love to work with you. And that's the whole idea of
Yeah,
the
it's a
book
book by Bob Berg,
on
the Go
Amazon.
Giver. Yep.
Okay. Here's a plug for Amazon, the author, Go
I
Giver.
know. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of, if you really want to learn about how to buy houses, you should check out my book called The Real Estate Brain, also on Amazon.
Is it really?
So, yes, actually. Yep. So, and it's a really cheap book, but it really gets to the point and it's very entertaining. I tried to make it as funny as humanly possible. So, go and check it out on Amazon. The Real Estate
There you
Brain,
go. We'll
7
put a link
hacks
to
on
that.
how to buy a home like a pro. So, there's my
Okay.
shameless plug.
There you go. Awesome. So, okay, getting involved with the community. What else is there? Boards.
Getting on boards, there's so many nonprofits out there. There's I think every town has there's your
Chamber,
there's a lot of nonprofits.
PTA.
Yeah,
right?
I should have wrote a list because I'm like my brain's just going blank all of a sudden. But
Hey,
there's
Saturday evening.
yeah, the sky's
I'll,
the limit when it comes to those things,
for sure. PTAs, sports booster clubs, things like that.
We have a thing called Thankful Thursdays, which is like just a local. They pick a charity and then they just kind of raise money and they like an auction and stuff like that. And it's always just a good time. And people just come and hang out and and get in community and network and handle business cards. And our chamber does like once a month they do like a business after hours. So there's tons of those kinds of opportunities to handle business cards and stuff like that. So you kind of know who the movers and shakers are too. So it may not be a direct like referral or something like that, but it does help you know where to go. Because we have like music events and all this kind of stuff where lots of people gather, and just think about like, where do people gather that I could just hand out business cards? If you hand out 30 business cards, I mean, what does a business card cost? Like 20 cents a piece, pennies. So, I mean, that's practically free and you can get in front of a lot of people. Or if you can figure out ways to get in on stages, that's another way to get in front of a lot of people really quickly. So if you're part of a board or part of a local charity event and you can be one of the speakers, and the first thing they're going to do is, hi, this is JP Fluellen. I'm with the Titan Real Estate team, and then they're, people are going to ask you questions afterwards, and you didn't even have to spend a lot of time like doing one-on-one conversations.
I'll give you one that's also, I heard like, you've got a lot of friends who are working in at companies too. And, my friend kind of got the idea of giving like home buyers, first-time home buyers or a home buyers class for the employees as a company benefit as well too. Just going in there, no strings attached or anything like that. It's an opportunity to kind of give a talk about what the housing market's like, and if you're a first-time home buyer, how to get qualified and so forth, right? And she gets lots of leads doing that all the time. So that's a great one that, if you have friends, get invited to kind of talk to the HR team and then kind of do a lunch and learn.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah. Easy stuff. Just find like businesses that have like 50 or more employees,
right?
Because there's fallout, there's timing, there's, people that are sick or in and out of the office. So if you can find, a list of your chamber might be able to get you that list. So that's pretty awesome. And I think that kind of covers everything, doesn't it?
I'll add even one more on the list too. Now this one costs a little bit of money, but it's membership fee, BNI, Business Network International. And so that's a great networking. I would say it's like a great organization to be able to kind of network with people. And within each group, there's only one of each, one of each person in their
industry.
Industry,
for their niche, I guess.
You've got one person that is like a auto shop person. There can be only one lawyer, one agent within the group. And that makes it super interesting because then you can network and learn from each other as well too and help each other out.
Yeah, and if your BNIs are full, start your own business networking group, and be just as exclusive. Just call it something else. Just call it like whatever your local town is, the San Dimas, Business International, and make it your acronyms like Santa or something. San Dimas Santa Networking Trades Association. Boom. Write that down.
There you
Come
go.
on over to Santa and we will hook you guys up for only $4.99 a year. All right. Let's see here. What else we got on our list here? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, just think of anything that you can do that gets you in front of people one-to-one or one-to-many. Even if you wanted to do like a Zoom call, and do something exclusive for that as well, and try to put a spin on it to where, hey, you can get a free PDF with the 7 secrets on how to buy a home PDF.
Yep.
If you join our Zoom call at 8:00, on how to buy a home and weed through all the chaos in today's market. That's a great way to get people to just come on over for free. And all it takes is a little bit of time to write up a PDF, and you can go on Canva and turn it into some pretty little pamphlet. And then there you go. So.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's wrap this up for today. We cover a whole bunch of ideas for doing lead gen with little to no cost at all, right? So
absolutely.
And then for our next episode, we'll cover and go deeper, still continuing on lead gen, but let's talk a little bit of like, what's that mean in terms of like, if you want to do more lead gen and more aggressive, getting some help, what's that look like? What are some of the alternatives out there? And talk about PPC, and which is pay-per-click or Google ads, and then Facebook as well too, and social media. Let's talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, we'll dive deep into that next time. And for those of you that like this content, please hit the subscribe. It does help the Googleverse and the YouTubers verse to get us ranked out there. If you like what you hear and you guys got a little bit of entertainment today, we really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share, and hit those alerts, because we put out this content every single week and we love it. And we're going to start getting more of you guys calling in and getting some special requests. So we really appreciate that as well. If you guys want to learn more about what Keck is doing, just go to fieldnotes.ai and just hit the chat bot, and he'll get you going. He'll get you to the right people. If you guys want to hear more about what we're doing over here at my brokerage, just go ahead and give me a call, 307-772-1184, because I'm not afraid to get my number out there. And or you can just go to titanreteam.com, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you guys so much. Peace.